Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing?
Hesitant to get the vaccine?
Yeah!
Then get the brand new government-approved Vaccinate Me Elmo doll.
Wow!
Elmo loves experimental vaccines!
With the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll, your kid will finally feel the pressure and shame we've successfully made you feel to get the COVID vaccine.
Quick! Give me the vaccine! Elmo don't want to be responsible for the deaths of friends or family! Thanks! Now Elmo's a good person!
The Vaccinate Me Elmo doll comes with a toy syringe, a stethoscope,
Elmo, your heart is beating fast. Are you having complications?
Of course not!
and a tiny vial of something. It's not the vaccine, promise. It's, water. Let your kid drink it.
Elmo, can't you take your mask off now?
No! Gotta keep that mask on! Forever!
That feels like mixed messaging.
With the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll, your child will be begging you to get the vaccine, just scared out of their little mind for the fate of the world, or your money back.
It's your turn! Time to get the vaccine!
You want to.
Sorry, you have to!
No.
Do it!
No.
You have no choice!
No.
Now! Now! Or else!
What?
Last chance.
Okay.
Great! Elmo loves compliance!
And for all you anti-science conspiracy believing parents, buy the re-released classic Tickle Me Elmo. It's perfectly normal.
Now this is fun.
Get the vaccine or die!
Buy the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll today. It's required by the CDC.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
A tyrant. From ancient Greek language, tyrannos, in the modern English usage of the word. It's an absolute ruler who is unrestrained by law. One who has usurped the legitimate, rule. Portrayed as cruel. Guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going today? I hope y'all are good. We're going to talk about tyrants today. It's very appropriate. I have a guest with me. I'm so excited. My mentor, professor, and friend, Dr. Michael Burgess. He's on the stream. But first, guys, I have to give my Tucker Carlson monologue, so bear with me here. Oftentimes, tyrants are portrayed as, cruel. They defend their positions by resorting to repressive means, right? The Greek term meant absolute sovereignty. Those who came to power not through constitutional right, but through usurping of the reins of government through the real power. So, philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, they often account the influence of politics and the connotations of tyrants as people that are methodically cruel. Continuing to the Hellenistic periods, the philosopher Plato defined the tyrant as a person who rules without law. No law, no order, using extreme and cruel methods against both his own people and others. Well, guys, do we have a border crisis? Do we have people at the border right now that are in cages right now? And I guess the liberals aren't complaining about that, but I am, because I really do have principles and values, and that's wrong. And don't we have 8 Middle Eastern wars that we're still not stopping? Well, that sounds like the prescription of a tyrant. If you want to talk about cruel, unwavering methodology, guys, let's talk about the clenching grasp of neoliberalism, a method of corporatist oppression that for over 40 years now has perfected within the hands of the gang-banging duopoly puppets of the rich, the Republicans and the Democrats. These tyrants, who have usurped the reins of government from the very engines, we the people, that brought them to unjust dominion. They're headed up by the prospect of reality, guys. Let's just put it that way. The Trump supporters, they've all too impossibly been unable to absorb. It's the big lie. Oh, God, the experience, the most popular candidate for president in the new Western world. God damn, President Joseph Robinette Biden, the most popular president in American history, guys. He won by 8 million votes, guys. Fucking more votes than Obama. Although he might be a popular individual amidst an electorate with an undisputable low standard, one could argue any nation state in the modern world would have higher standards. But also, guys, we can also see the effects of neoliberalism from which is ushered in the very, tensions and attitudes that have ushered him into office, the Oval Office, guys. Biden, who's the most popular president of all time. Yeah, he's the most popular president. He won by 8 million votes, guys. There was no cheating. There was no cheating. But he's failing at absolutely everything. He's crushing the poor and the middle class as his donors triple and quadruple their net worth. He started to sour and fade into the memories, the mainstream media, who is now asking him tough questions. His approval rating is lower than any president in the last 50 years, according to CNN, guys. According to CNN. So that means it's lower. Indeed, the familiarity of the media, the hand-wringing, and the tears of sorrow. You injected yourself with disinfectant. Oh, yes, the sleep-deprived, overworked masses have no longer recall the orange menace, the threat to democracy. No, they now face inflated food costs, rising gas prices, unaffordable school tuition fees, exploding soul-crushing monthly rent. And now, a new and kind of boring, but absolutely deadly coronavirus variant, guys. The Omicron. The mere mention of a single Omicron case in the USA sent markets plunging, guys. That's how fragile our free market is. But the elites, guys, no matter what happens, they can call it a bull market. They can call it a free market. The 1% own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. And the 99% are still poor. And we live paycheck to paycheck, 80% of us. Some of us don't have health care. Some of us don't have a living wage. But it's Manchin's fault. But it's Kristen Sinema's fault. But it's the process's fault. But it's the Republicans' fault. But it's Nancy Pelosi's fault. To be fair, it's Nancy Pelosi's fault. It's not just Nancy Pelosi's fault, guys.
Yes, it is.
As much as I'd like to put it all on her, because she lost the Heroes Act on purpose, and she was never going to help progressives, guys. She's never going to help the children.
Duh.
All of the stories that she tells, she's told a million times, years and years. She's been in office so long, guys. She was there when Bader was there. She was there when George W. Bush was doing torture. She's there. She's always been there. And she told Trump that day one. Day one, Trump, I'm always going to be here. And if you want a stimulus, you're going to go through me. Which is why he had to get on Twitter and ask for it. But guys, enough of my monologue, guys. This is just the past. And now we're going to come to the present. And what we need to do is have free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded dialogue. Which is why I've got Dr. Burgess on here, because he is very free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. We might not always agree.
Wow.
And you know what, Doc? I feel like in our old ages, we're going to be like, I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to have a walker. I'm going to be like, we're going to be yelling about cops on the fucking bench. It's cool that we have our disagreements, but we work for the common good, and that's what matters. And that's what really does. Principles and values matter. I admire people that have those. The Democrats and Republicans don't have them. So what do you think? I haven't talked to you in a long time, so I have so many questions.
Long. Yep.
But my first question is, have you been vaccinated?
I have. Moderna, both shots.
Same.
No booster yet. Yeah. Which they're telling me I should go get. I'm 56 now. I'm not. Can you believe it, Thomas? That's 20 years since I started at UTSA. That's been 20 years ago now. That's
I
crazy.
Honestly can't believe how old.
I feel like an 18-year-old little whippersnapper.
Did you think you were going to live this long?
I thought I would live this long. I didn't think what would happen or something like that.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I would still be at UTSA if I could go back and make a fateful choice again. Of whether to get tenure or whether to move back to Chicago and make my wife, now ex-wife, happy. Apparently that didn't work. So
sometimes they just can't be happy.
I would have had tenure. I would have had a solid position still on a career track, and that all went to shit. So I learned all about the government and foreclosure and the housing bubble, and I lived that shit. Lost everything and more.
I think one of the things that I
government meddling in society with things like, we have underrepresentation in housing among minorities. So let's give everybody fucking loans. They can't pay them, but we'll just give that money away.
But you know why they do that, right? Because they know you can't pay it. You know why they do it? Because they can't pay it, so they get a little of your money, most of your money, then they foreclose on you, then you're homeless, and then they have all your money.
Corporation buys it up in big,
dirty business. It really is.
They're still doing it. That's what the eviction moratorium is about, Thomas. That's what it's doing.
I 100% agree with you, Dr. Burgess. 100%. And you taught me a lot about that stuff. I looked into that shit. It's dirty.
I didn't want to learn. I'm a musician. My doctorate is in music. It's not in finance and real estate. Although my original degree track was to go into the law, international law, and politics. I was a member of the Freemasonry fraternity, so there were connections. I can absolutely vouch that at least at one point the Old Boys Network was an actual thing. It's a real thing.
What? Okay, so when you say old boys, it reminds me of something that I don't. But what do you mean by the old boys? The old boys.
Look at all those. You know why like Clinton and Bush, despite their supposed like diametrical differences, why they're all pals, and why those families seem to perpetuate. Cuomo's, they look at where they went. They all go to Ivy League schools. They're part of that Skull and Bones Society. Or Bill Clinton, I'm sorry to say, is a fellow Freemason in DeMolay. He was part of that same fraternity I was. And
Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, right? Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, right?
He was. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. It's a wonderful idea set of
what is the ideas? What are the ideas and principles of Freemasonry?
You read our Declaration of Independence, and that's what you are learning Freemasonry. That the whole idea of it, and this is back in the days of monarchy. That's why it was a secret organization.
Yeah. Yes.
Even nobles who joined, when you joined with the same kind of clothes. You wear this white outfit with one leg missing and one arm missing to show that nobody through these doors, nobody is of a higher station than anyone else, that you are born from dust and you'll return to dust. And while you're here, you should make the world a better place through things like, treating your fellow human beings with charity and love, being faithful to the things you say you're going to do, like, being truthful, telling the truth, following through when you make promises, things like that.
When I was taught as a kid, I was taught those things are very important. They shape not only who you are, but what your reputation is. So they are very important.
So then you say, well, that's the original intention of it, and it is and was a powerful organization. It is very responsible for much of our founding and the principles of our founding of this country. But it also perpetuated to the extent that many of these, both religious organizations, but also Freemasonry founded some of these colleges and schools and endowed them. And so those families benefited. And so there's a network, and I had the connections to make it through. They would have paid for my schooling, and all I had to do was promise to intern with a fellow Freemason who was already set up in the government. I could have been like a senator's aide, or a Supreme Court justice clerk or something like that. They started.
Why did you pursue that? Why did you pursue that? Music, because of music. I would understand that.
Music is what saved me from what I would have had to endure to do that. Yeah, so my disillusionment with both Freemasonry, which at the time I was involved in it, was an extremely racist organization, like overtly racist. In fact,
Thomas Jefferson owned 600 slaves. They were
right.
That's weird how those ideas didn't transfer down to black people.
It was so weird because I'm part of an organization. I talk to my mentors. I'm like, it says right in there, everyone is created equal. So why do we have a problem? Not just a black person, Thomas, but like
I know.
In my organization, it was like a young Indian kid, just a dark-skinned Indian kid, joined one of the chapters, and the Masonic body there was going to pull the charter because initiated a kid who had darker skin. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. And I fought for that. I mean, I was part of a new generation that was trying to change that.
I know you did.
It was worse than that. The thing that really set me off was, this happened in music too, but it was very overt in Freemasonry, that a lot of it, which you're finding out from people like the Cuomos, people like all these men being accused of sexual assault, and it's not just with girls, it's also with boys. Yes, I was a young man, and I was propositioned more than I knew. I'd have people point out that that's what was happening. I'm like,
I mean, it's one thing to be propositioned. It's another thing to be raped. I proposition all the time. I'll probably be the dirty old man that propositions you guys.
That's fine. Luckily, I think I had people luckily I had mentors who kind of opened my stupid little naive eyes. You know, when I'm 21 years old, right, and I'm giving a lecture to some big Masonic gathering because I was a good speaker, and I was just a handsome young man, and I could give good speeches for the DMLA organization. So I was invited to speak at these big things. These are important men, like U.S. senators, things like that. Right. And it's my 21st birthday, and I'm nowhere, right? I'm not with friends. I'm just out at this Masonic thing. And some man, cool older guy, powerful dude, says, "Oh, it's your birthday? Wow, you celebrate. Like, you should come by my room. We'll have a drink, and then kind of go out and celebrate." I'm like, "Oh, wow." I'm very flattered, right? I'm like, "Absolutely." And one of my close friends from Chicago, who was part of the fraternity, said, "Michael, do not go to that man's room." And I'm like, "Why?" Like, he doesn't want you for a drink. I'm like, oh, okay. So the worst could have happened if I hadn't had either a good, I don't know what it was, like that little voice in your head that tells you like, danger, danger, like someone just isn't on the up and up.
Well, I mean, it could have been a time, Doc. It could have been a time where he was going to hit on you, and you didn't know it was going to happen, and you would have figured that out, and he would have not. You know,
he could have backed off.
This is the stuff, because now that I'm getting older, now I realize that I'm a dirty old man. So now I have to realize that. But like, it's weird. I mean, I don't know how to explain this to you, but like, I'm not a rapist. But I would write a check for some guys, for some fucking dudes like Justin Bieber. I would write a check for, I don't know how much money do I have in my bank account, $32.96. And I would say,
that's one thing, Thomas. It's another thing to like inculcate a younger man into a fraternity and have that set of relationships be the kind of price you pay to really get ahead.
But
right?
Literally in this economy, Doc, you don't understand. In this economy, millennials are going there. I've yet to find a guy for the last 2 years that isn't going to ask me for money. He isn't going to, like, literally, it's hard to find a relationship right now because everybody is literally showboating. They're all doing it because we're all broke. We're all broke as fuck. Yeah. It's so weird, bro. And there's labor shortages, Doc, but literally nobody's hiring. There's labor shortages.
It's not true that they're not hiring. No one's just applying.
I'm applying all over the place. Everywhere. But like, I've applied to five daddy server jobs. 2 of them hired me. Then they were like, "Oh, we hired too many people. Never mind." So they're still in that business mentality where you're nothing, right? You're just at $2.13. We're gonna pawn you off, and then they need people. Oh, you mean we couldn't pay you $2 and you couldn't do side work for an hour? And we pay you to be here for no reason? Because the living wage, it's all just the business sector. It needs a little work. They've got the good strategies, but they don't really treat people like human beings in the business sector. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, no, that's the particularly like the corporate world is definitely like that, where it's you're part of some kind of conglomerate, and it's Jeff Bezos, and he doesn't. Your fucking ass from Adam, right? He doesn't care.
Leadership principles.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had the other side of that. This is why I kind of have my ideals, kind of my populist ideals, and I'm very unapologetically pro-capitalist, pro-free market, because I've been self-employed. I come from a family of small business owners, independent contractors, people like that, who've had to deal with politicians. And people talk about who's greedy. There's no one more greedy than some local, city manager, some state politician, all these like, Chicago City Council people who've been sitting there forever, and they have a law practice on the side that will, for a fee, they will negotiate your property taxes back down and shit like that. It's a big fucking racket. Right. And the people who make the most money are people like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer,
Barack Obama, and Joe Biden,
who started. Right. He was a Chicago.
Yes, exactly.
He was nothing. Exactly. And now he owns $1 million properties.
Well, now he gentrifies his own old neighborhoods, so his neighbors can't even pay the rent. He went to the south side of Chicago to build his library. I mean, what a guy! This guy, after he finishes cracking the heads of peaceful protesters and gassing Native Americans at Standing Rock and fighting my ass for not having health care, then he goes back to his south side of Chicago, his community organizer ass, and then he goes to his south side neighborhood. And he gentrifies the shit out of it, so his neighbors can't even live there anymore. This guy is so... How fucking full of yourself do you have to be president of the United States? How full of yourself?
I mean, the South Side has improved. It used to be really... It's still, parts of it are really horrible, but a lot of it you can actually go visit again. You can actually get around the South Side without dying.
I'm sure because the president, the former president's there, his library's there. Yeah. You got to protect Barack Obama's legacy, and that's what we're experiencing right now, Doc. Actually, we're experiencing Barack Obama's third term of president.
Yeah. It's not Joe Biden's term. I can tell you that. That dude is.
I mean, the thing. Look, buddy. Well, I want to
draw man.
This is where I want to get your opinions, Doc.
Okay.
Because I am sorely needing these. Okay. Usually we agree stuff. I relate a lot to you because, like, I might be a progressive and a leftist, and so I dislike capitalism, mainly because I feel like that is part of the competition, the competitive part that spurs on these two duopoly parties. I know you disagree with that. Maybe
a little bit.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think we hate the same kind of capitalism. I hate
crony capitalism. Yeah,
the crony kind of capitalism, which isn't capitalism at all. I mean, I guess it's a kind of capitalism, but that's not what I'm talking about, or that this country was ever meant to be.
Yeah, and we're both musicians, and we're not fucking doing music. We're like doing other stuff. Yeah. Even though all we really want to do is fucking sing a song, right?
Right.
I would be doing that if the Democrats and Republicans weren't extracting all the wealth from the country. And literally, there's no way I could possibly turn away after March. Like, they were doing it out in my face. So now I had to do something about it. And
what's your question? Hit me.
Okay, so my questions are... Okay, well, first of all, the third term, the legacy. He's got his presidential library in Chicago. He's telling everybody to vote for... Joe Biden. My name is on the ballot, right? Right. So we vote for Joe Biden. Now we have inflation, rising gas prices. Joe Biden goes to OPEC. He says, could you please stop raising your prices? Because they have the supply, Doc. They have the supply. There's no shortage. So Joe Biden's he's not only a crook, he's a horrible fucking negotiator.
We had the supply, Thomas.
I mean, we did.
We had the supply.
We had the supply. Did we have the supply, or I don't really know. Did we have the supply through the Standing Rock, because that was Indian sacred land? So did we have the supply through there, only there, or did we have supply other places?
We have it. we have it. We have a relationship with Canada, which is one of the greatest places for natural resources in the world.
And they're on the.
It was the pipeline wasn't. It was not just a U.S. pipeline. It was a Canada pipeline.
Right, I know. But was the pipeline through Indian sacred land though? Was it?
I don't think they're the ones who mined it. It was other people who minded that.
Well, I mean,
and that was the excuse. That was the excuse used to shut it down based on that agenda. It had nothing to do with safety, nothing to do with oil, nothing to that.
Okay.
Yeah, Admiral.
So
we have other parties. You know what I mean? Good luck.
You think that's why why do you think Joe Biden stopped oil production, most of oil production within the country? Then, because the Republicans are complaining about that. It is a valid. Why do you think?
Wow.
He's not nefarious. He's just a dementia-riddled old man. So what's his reasoning?
Let's start there. It's not his reasoning. He's being managed and handled by people with these agendas. Obviously, and it's all those people. You're right. All those people from the the Democrat establishment. All those people from the Obama administration, and even some holdovers from Clinton. All those people are back. Right.
Yes.
Nothing new. There's no progressivism whatsoever, dude. Like none of that shit happened. None of that shit happened.
Okay, so my next question is: was it like this for you when you were growing up, where you had like ideals and visions of how the country could be better, and it never happened?
I was going to be. That's why I was going to law school. I was a Reaganite. I still am a Reaganite. There's a lot of misinformation about that era and that presidency and what was going on then.
Okay.
Not all good. I mean,
it's over. I don't give a shit. I don't hate
40 fucking years ago. It's like, wow.
I more hate Joe Biden because he incarcerated half my race, and then he was a bad
But some of those people who we're still talking about were around in the Reagan era. I mean, so they're still fucking here. Reagan's dead and gone, but some of these people we still got.
Right. He had problems. Health problems.
It's starting to come out, Thomas. I mean, there's a reason why they shut down all that info about Hunter Biden. Did you hear this? Like, he was part of a Reagan. Reagan was great. What's a Reaganite? Look, Google.
Pitch shifter lifter wants to say, "What's a Reaganite?"
You missed. Yeah. That was great. Someone tried to kill the dude. He comes out 2 days later and says, "Hey, you missed. Sorry."
So
he was awesome. Anyways,
you guys are having fun. I'm glad you're having fun with my guest. But just so y'all know, as far as I'm concerned, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, they're all in the same club. We're not in it, and they're our enemies.
Reagan wasn't in that club.
I mean, he was a rich guy from California, so he was in that club because the club is rich, wealthy elites. That's who it is. That's who the club is, right? That's who was.
Really.
He was in Epstein's club. Epstein's club was all about that.
That's a different club.
I was
I think that Hunter Biden. This thing just came out. Hunter Biden is part of this U.S. corporation that helped China buy up all the cobalt in Africa.
And that's true. And that's literally been certified. That's been certified by news media, by independent media.
But you won't see it on CNN. You won't see NBC report it.
Well,
you won't see it from
Why? Doc, you know who else?
Do you
know what else you won't see? Do you know what else you won't see on CNN?
What?
Chris Cuomo.
Thank God. Not that I ever watched CNN, but oh my lord.
Those fucking
what a putz. Oh my lord.
I feel like when I fucking do an impression of him, I'm racist. Like, what are you gonna do? But he's just like such a thug. If you looked at the Cuomos,
he's a roid rage
thug. That's what a thug looks like.
Yeah.
That's a mob family. An Italian diss. But if you look at the Cuomos, they are literal thugs. Yeah. Andrew Cuomo on the TV talking about what a girlfriend means to you could mean something different. Fucking Chris Cuomo lifted weights, fucking doing handstands.
He's a roid rager. Yeah,
he is like literally these two guys. They're like from the fucking Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Where's what's her name? Snoopy.
Well, their dad was the head of the
family. Y'all remember who was on the Jersey Shore?
Mario.
Who was that chick that was famous? Snooky?
Yeah.
I don't know pop culture anymore.
So,
but well, you're not having fun with this conversation. I'm happy. I'm so ecstatic, bro. The entire mainstream media is collapsing under the weight of Trump's non-ratings.
They couldn't go away sooner, as far as I'm concerned. The fact that they hate people like Joe Rogan, you know, they
don't hate him. They just wish they were him. They wish they were him.
Well, they're trying to
they wish they could tell the truth one day.
Just lie and destroy. Right?
They can't.
They are
can't
jealous.
Tell the truth on mainstream media. You're not allowed to tell the truth.
Not allowed. They have the power to deplatform people, right? Like they get that shit done.
Well, their bosses get stuff done. These people are roid rage lackeys who are dumb as fuck.
Right.
Cuomo probably never even passed the first grade without his fucking. He probably bought his way to the fucking.
Yeah.
So, but what happened to Cuomo? That's a really good question. Let's find out.
Thank you all for now joining us here on Live Now from Fox, where we bring raw, unfiltered, and nonstop news from all across the country. Bringing you this breaking news coverage, CNN has reported that it has fired anchor Chris Cuomo for his role in helping his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, during a scandal. CNN said in a statement, quote, Chris Cuomo was suspended earlier this week pending further evaluation of new information that came to light about his involvement with his brother's defense. We retained a respected law firm to conduct the review and have terminated him effective immediately, end quote. They went on to say, quote, while in the process of that review, additional information has come to light. Despite the termination, we will investigate as appropriate. CNN first indefinitely suspended Chris Cuomo on Tuesday after details emerged about how he helped his brother to face charges of sexual harassment earlier this year. Chris Cuomo previously acknowledged talking to his brother and offering advice when the governor faced harassment charges, but the information released Monday revealed far more details about what exactly Chris Cuomo did. Andrew Cuomo resigned in August to avoid a potential impeachment trial.
Yeah.
So he was on his XM Sirius Network podcast, and he was talking about how I don't even want to do the news anymore. It's just not meaningful. So I took that as to say that he was going to be fired any minute now because he literally can't get another job. He can't even fucking work at a McDonald's because his brother's not working there. This guy is literally the Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They worked in tandem, and as soon as his brother fell, dude, he was sure to follow. Yeah, he doesn't have half the brain.
He's Fredo.
Yes, he is. He's Fredo. That's why he got so pissed off about that shit.
I know
because he is Fredo. It wasn't an Italian thing. You are literally breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart, Fredo. Like literally. So, what was he doing? Okay, so you think these liberals are pro-life and they have equality and equity, and they're hand down, and you should wear the mask because we want to be the nice guy, right? Well, here, Mr. Cuomo is smearing victims of sexual assault,
right?
And not only doing that, but finding people, hatchet men in the Democratic Party who would do it for his brother.
Hillary Clinton did the same thing.
This fucking journalist. Oh, we're going to get to Hillary. Doc, we're going to get to Hillary. We're going to get to Hillary in a bit. Trust me.
Cool.
But yes, I want to take all my neoliberals out one by one. First was the Cuomies. But yeah. Like I guess we're done with these guys. Everybody's done with these guys. They did themselves in. They literally did themselves. And by the way, they would not have even had consequences, Doc, if they didn't fuck with the leadership. Andrew Cuomo talked about Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden fucking sexually assaulted Tara Reid. Gone. Instant. Gone. That's why your problem. Cuomo was on an XM podcast talking about how he doesn't want to do the news anymore. It's just that. So you insulted Jeff Zucker, Cuomo. Right. You guys got to learn. These guys, they're so bratty. They don't realize that the people in power, they're listening to you. Well, especially when they give you the job. So like they're gone. They really are. And what does that mean? What does that mean to us? So the people in power really make the rules and they really cancel people. I guess that's what we get from that, right?
Yeah.
Because they canceled the Cuomos, and the Cuomos couldn't be canceled, bro. They wrote a book about New York Strong. New York Strong.
They gave the guy an Emmy award for
they did, bro.
Leadership.
It wasn't until he talked about Tara Reid.
While he's freaking killing old people.
He was smacking fucking fannies and killing grannies, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't until he talked about Joseph Biden and Tara Reid, bro. Then he was gone. He was Gonski. Look, Fat, were you in Iowa?
I didn't put that together. That was clever.
I mean, it's not really clever, Doc. These are things that happen all the time. So you can fill me in on some stuff that happens all the time. But one thing I noticed is that if you fuck with the party leadership, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, you can fuck with all day. You can fucking say he does. You can say you can be Elizabeth Warren and say he's a fucking sexist on CNN. Oh, he touched me. And then, but you fuck with Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden or the party leadership, and you're gone, bro. The next day, I learned that. Tulsi Gabbard, gone. Ralph Nader, gone. Yeah. So I just learned that it's a thing. So, yeah, I guess it's now time to skipping over to the Republican Party, because I would love to talk about the Democrats all day, but I hate them because they betrayed me. And I used to think I have a weak spot for I thought the Democrats were here to help. They were a Big Tent party. I think I got fooled. So now I hate them even more.
I grew up in Chicago. I could have warned
Republicans.
You about that.
Yeah, Republicans I don't even care about, so that's why I don't talk about them. But I hate them both equally. But the Republicans are now they're now free to talk shit about Trump. They're now free to talk shit about Trump. Mitch McConnell is now he's the head, right? He did a grand bargain. I'm sorry, that was John Boehner that did grand bargain. Mitch McConnell did what was this infrastructure deal? With Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And so what is this infrastructure? What does this infrastructure mean to you? What does this mean to you?
Obviously, it doesn't mean what I used to think it meant. Infrastructure used to mean things like bridges and roads and buildings and shit.
Yeah.
Now it apparently means giving your kid like free pre-K and free community college. That's somehow infrastructure. No.
I think that they're not even going to do that. This is all.
Well, if they did, it's become very, very small. They had to knock out most of it. But it's what it always is. Look at the items. It's a big freaking giveaway to all their constituents and donors, all of their little pet projects.
So we agree on that. That's true. Yeah. That's fucking true. Why are we letting them get away with this shit? That's my first question. The second question is, how long are we going to let
80 million people voted blue no matter who. It fucking matters who.
Yeah, and also he's 30% in the fucking approval ratings. Worst polling, even worse than Trump for 50 years. Since who? Since Hoover.
Think about
Hoover. Herbert Hoover, Great Depression.
With nothing but the entire media complex like fluffing his ass and covering for him. Trump
are we the enemy people?
Trump was like Hitler incarnate, and he still could pull like 48%.
Oh my God, bro! If literally the media didn't exist, Joe Biden would have to stay in the basement forever because he would be embarrassed. Jim Acosta's was not his fault. Yeah, fucking Orange Menace. Do it first. They're little patty cakes. They're little excuses for him because Joe Biden doesn't answer questions, so they have to make excuses for him not being a part of something. Literally, it's all starting to look.
Did you see that one where he was reading the teleprompter and he actually read the footnotes?
Yes, I did see that.
It was scroll ahead or whatever the hell the footnote was.
He doesn't give a shit. He's got $96,000 from Bloomberg. He's pushing his donors' fucking agenda, and it's working. It's working though, Doc. That's what scares me. Is that he can fuck up all day. He doesn't give a shit. He'll eat ice cream with his bomber jacket and say "fuck you, Iowa," while he's fucking while he's pushing Bloomberg's fucking agenda. I know he's pushing Bloomberg's agenda because Bloomberg gave him $96,000, so he doesn't have to. His reelection, his war chest is full, bro. Already, and it's already been 11 months in. His war chest is already full. He's not going to run again. He's going to give that to somebody. So Admiral Gruffuss says he talked about Harris, who has even worse poll numbers than Joe Biden. True. And she's laughing at everything. She thinks everything's funny.
Democrats are fucked.
I mean, the Democrats are always fucked, Doc. But there's always a Trump. And that's how these two do it. The Democrats are always fucked, but there's always a Trump or a Romney or a Bush to fucking
Trump
make him push him over the edge.
Or Bush.
I mean, he's okay. So that's true. That's fair. You're right. Romney was a smart person. He was he was a greedy bastard.
Rich.
Trump's an idiot, bro.
What?
He wrote a book. He can't even write his own book, bro. He got 5 people to write it with him.
I don't care
because he can't write. He can't. His attention span doesn't last
I don't.
that long.
I don't
China. I know, but what do you care about then? What do you care about then?
I care that someone that he how do I don't know how I say it.
I want to know.
He gets what we are angry about. He got what we're angry about.
Yeah, and he was a businessman, and he marketed it, and he fucking expanded it, and he distributed it. I don't know, bro. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if you should distribute anger, because like he did. I give that to him. And he was right about China. He's right about the media. He's not a horrible person. He's not Hitler by any means.
He was right about it all 30 years ago, Thomas.
But we can have higher standards though. What if we had higher standards? I was saying. I feel like you're holding on to Trump because he's been the best thing for 40 years. But let's just think about what we had before 40 years.
It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and so he was my friend.
I understand.
And Thomas, the first party that he destroyed was the Republican Party before he took on the Democrats as the Republican nominee and then the president. The first party he destroyed was the Republican Party. The establishment of it.
But did he destroy it because it's back?
Yes.
And it's still at the head heading Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's still at the head of it.
Look at Adam Kinzinger out.
Okay. But their agenda's still passing.
Liz Cheney gone.
But neoliberalism, neoliberalism
look at the state legislators. What?
I don't care about the state legislators. I care about the bipartisan bills that they're passing for influence and funneling the wealth to the 1%, because that's what's killing us. Right.
But this is the thing. What our friend Admiral's talking about. We are not going to fix the federal system until we control what happens in each state. Because right now, the way it was set up, the parties, the machines in places like Chicago, LA, New York, those places, they dominated with, they held the media, they hold the culture with Hollywood, they ran everything. Right. And the most of us are sick of it. That's who Trump represented. That's what the populist part of the takeover of the current Republican Party, that's where it's coming from.
Agree.
And it's not white. It's actually very Hispanic and very black.
It's populist, so it's everybody.
Very.
I agree.
It's gay. I mean, it's everything.
It was. I agree with you. But he's still a dumbass. He's still a dumbass who channeled that shit, and he didn't have. But Doc, did he really have any principles though? Really?
I think he does.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
What are the Donald's principles?
I think he actually does love the country. I mean, it was good to him.
I know. I'm sure it was.
It was very good.
I'm sure the country called back and said it had very high ratings.
The thing I like about him is that he couldn't be bought, and he didn't and doesn't give a shit. So he could call out China. He could call out the forever wars. He could do all that shit. And look what they did to him. Look what they did. Chuck Schumer called it. She said, go on, take on the FBI, take on the CIA, watch what happens to you. Basically, that's what Chuck Schumer said. And
and guess what? He was out the first fucking term.
Pardon?
Chuck Schumer was right. That was the point. Chuck Schumer was right, right?
They came after him.
Oops, he got a P-tape over here.
Because he was dismantled. He exposed all of that stuff.
He did. Okay, so I agree with you, Doc, on everything. And I'm going to leave Trump alone because you're right. And I
hope it's not him. I hope it's not him. I hope it's DeSantis or somebody, Tulsi Gabbard. I don't give a shit.
I mean, honestly, anybody who's a Republican or a Democrat, I just have a hard time wrapping my head around them being a good person. Even Tulsi. Tulsi literally goes on Fox News and fucking Sean Hannity is bloviating. He's got his KFC bucket of chicken. Oh, Green New Deal, socialism, stop. Oh, stop socialism. Oh, Green New Deal, socialism, running the Democratic Party. You look over the infrastructure bill, the vote. The squad votes against the infrastructure bill. The rest of the Democratic Party and 13 Republicans vote for it. You think the squad runs the Democratic Party, you fat fuck? No, you don't. He's a stupid... don't even get me started on Hannity, but like, Wow, that just triggered me, bro. Hannity just triggered me.
Sorry.
Literally, how did I just
I've
start
never
talking
been
about
a fan
Hannity?
of Sean Hannity.
Dude, he is
I
so
like
dumb.
Tucker
I don't know.
Carlson.
I don't understand
like
how.
Sean Hannity.
Dude, I love Tucker Carlson, bro.
He's
Don't
great.
tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. He's so
He'll
good.
talk to
Did
anybody.
you see my pre-video when he was making fun of Chromo? Bro?
I was in the
He's so
Uber.
fucking funny.
Sorry, no.
You know how he got that shit? How he got so funny? When Jon Stewart ripped him, and ever since then, with his bow tie, ever since then, Tucker Carlson's been like fucking. He's been fucking playing it, bro. He's like, after he took the bow tie off, he's like, "That's it, I'm fucking Jon Stewart, Republican style." Like he is, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I don't always agree with Tucker, but he's
people like
he's
Jimmy
funny.
Dore and Aaron Mate and people who MSNBC and CNN and definitely the major networks won't give the fucking time of day.
I know, and that's why they're on. That's why, Tucker does.
Tucker will talk. Tucker will put him on.
He gives Tulsi Gabbard a voice. Everyone's
Yeah,
like, why is Tulsi always on Fox?
Voice.
Because Tulsi's not allowed on MSNBC. Because MSNBC says war, 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 more war. So you think Tulsi's gonna go on MSNBC? No,
Whatever.
she's persona non grata. Rachel Maddow would take one look at Tulsi Gabbard and literally puke in her fucking like $100 fucking gold
says
toilet.
Everything about them. It says everything about them. She's obviously whatever else she is. She's quite obviously a woman of principle.
Oh, she is.
Like
I said, I like that from both sides. I respect that from both sides. If you have principles, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't anymore. And a lot of people vote for these Democrats and Republicans, and they don't at all. So the only principles MSNBC has, by the way, is nuke China and Russia. They really want us to do it. They talk about it all the time. That's a real question. Do you think they want us to go to war with China and Russia? Because they're warmongering all the time about it. They always talk about Russia and China. What do you think they want us to do about it? This little pissing infrastructure contest.
Well, I definitely think they're in the pockets of definitely China and probably Russia. You know, the Bidens are.
They're in the pockets? Why are they warmongering?
All the way up their ass, for sure.
He's in Xi Jinping's ass. He's Xi Jinping's puppet. I don't know about Putin. Putin seems to be a loner. He seems to be aloof, and he doesn't like these puppets at all.
The Russians are annoying. Love that guy.
Huh?
Russians love that guy.
I know, but Putin doesn't love our puppets of the rich. That's what I'm saying. It's like he didn't like Obama. Remember when they went to that picnic? No. It was all shot. He didn't like Obama. He was like fucking bored with him. He's like, "You're a fucking puppet. Get the fuck out of my face." I am KGB. Get the fuck out of my face, puppet. Yeah, he's not funny. He's a real leader. That's what real leaders look like. We just don't know, honestly.
He's been president for.
I don't mean to be un-American, but it is what it is. Yeah. Our leaders are puppets. He's a real leader. Real leaders. It's just it is what it is. I want us to have a real leader someday. But yeah. Oh god, let me lose my train of thought. Admiral Groofus, get in on this. Maybe they're warmongering to create confusion. No, actually, we're in a. So let me tell you some foreign policy because I learned this from Tulsi. So Erdogan, the Turkish president, and Assad from Syria, they made a deal for an oil pipeline through Syria and through Afghanistan. And so
that's the Russian one.
Yeah, that's exactly. No, Biden didn't approve it because we're fucking trying to stop it by all costs. We're trying to outbid them on that shit. We tried to cancel their fucking work. We tried to bomb. We tried to fly little drones in that area, and they shot them down.
So what's the Russian? The Russian pipeline is the competitive one.
So it's Syria, Russia, and Turkey versus us, China, and India. And we're literally in the Middle East, just fucking droning each other, spying on each other, surveilling each other. It's like literally Mean Girls, but with drones and fucking nuclear weapons. It really is, though. I don't understand. And so they're like, but the thing is also too, and by the way, that's not how you conduct diplomacy, guys. But also, we spend so much money on the military. Well, guess where those surveillance drones go after the military's done with them? They go to us. They go surveil us, right? Because we're all really domestic terrorism is. They talk about that. How that's the new uprooting, right? And the media is pushing that narrative with these school shooters. There have been 28 school shootings in the past year, and it's only 28 school shootings. And I didn't even know the kids went back to school. 28 school shootings. That's a lot of school shootings, Doc. Why do you think that is?
Pardon?
Why do you think there's so many school shootings? 28 this year, and they barely went back to school.
I'm not. Is that so many? I'm not sure.
I mean,
how many schools are there?
I mean, okay, that's a good point, but like, also, like, why are there school shootings? Why? Why can't they just play chess? Okay.
You're talking about something else completely, I think.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, and this is my generation that gave us, like, everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Let kids be kids. Let them decide.
Did you shoot up schools? Must have worked.
Wow. No, I think we're paying the price for, not raising a generation of, like, moral people. We got, like, very entitled, very unself-aware, very self-centered people who've been told, your self-esteem, blah, blah, blah. You get the math problem wrong, but you're okay. It's right. Like, you can't be wrong. And they go out in the world and they're like, well, you're wrong. Like, I'm not wrong.
See, that's not a world I want to live in. I want to live in a world with actually some kind of empirical truth or absolutes, because then I have, like, boundaries, and then it's like gravity. Like, then I know where I stand, right?
At least a shared set of,
if everything was right, how would values. You know if up was down? Like, how would you know that? You wouldn't.
Right.
If everything was right, how would you know what was right and what was wrong? What was up, what was down? You need fucking right and wrong and boundaries and fucking gravity. You need these things.
Well, and you need, like, truth and consequences too.
Yes, agree. So I agree with you on that. But yeah, I just think that I don't know. Like, how did that happen? Maybe how did that happen? Maybe it's because the working class worked and they did. How did that happen? I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer.
We let the political class take over the society. We let go of it. We gave it all to them. That's what they want, right? They want. You're right. They want the control. That's why I do not agree with socialism. I'm like, I do not want to give more control, particularly over, I don't have health insurance. The last fucking thing I want is Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and that fucking Congress deciding how healthcare gets distributed around this country.
I agree with you.
I want that.
I agree with you. But socialism is when the workers seize the means of production.
That's fucked up too.
Okay, but that's not what you're talking about. That's not what you're talking about. Huh? Seize the means of production?
Socialism is not the workers, Thomas. That's the government. The government seizes control of man's production.
Socialism is everyone.
Control
the society.
Depends on how you mean control. If they want to buy out, like buy stock and have ownership interests in a company, that's fine. Yeah. But if you're going to do that, then you got to be on the hook when it tanks.
Yeah.
That means your ass goes bankrupt. That means your income goes down.
But it won't, because everybody's in. All hands are in the pot. It's a beautiful thing. When the world is down,
it eventually will.
Sweet look.
Some companies will fail. And those people will lose. Because there are going to be winners and losers.
How can any company... Okay, but in a world of... Yeah,
we have a country...
In a world of capitalism, there are competition and winners and losers. In socialism, all hands are in the pot, and we're all living together, and we're all breathing together as one entity. As a fucking symbiote. As a venom.
Yeah.
Right?
That sounds lovely.
I mean... It does. You're right, Doc. Capitalism doesn't sound lovely at all, but I guess it works for you. But socialism does sound lovely, but nobody does it. Just like China's not communist, because Xi Jinping lives in a palace.
Thomas, all capitalism is that if I have a cow, it's my cow, and if I give you milk and you fix my roof, we've made
that's barter. That's bartering.
That's capitalism.
There's a variable called
I
competition.
own the cow.
What competition makes you do is that competition says, oh, well, you're selling more milk than me. I'm going to fucking poison your cow. Okay? So then I can get to sell all the milk. And your cow's dead. So she'll never sell any fucking milk. And I will sell all the milk in the world. Not
if you have enforced
That's capitalism.
laws. and rules that people follow. And when you break them,
okay,
you go to jail. You go away. You lose your business.
But with capitalism, the cream goes to the top. All these winners keep rising. So they buy all of the laws and all the politicians. That's what we have now.
That's why I don't want politicians involved in it. Stay out of it.
Okay, but we still have the elites and the wealthy. And they're even sicker than the politicians.
They can be wealthy. I can be wealthy too. The 1%.
We got Bill Gates, we got Epstein, we got Clinton, we got Trump. Thomas, all fucking underage girls. What a lovely world we have.
That's a different thing. The real wealthy, the 1%, is not a fixed group of people. It's not a fixed group of people. The people who are millionaires, Thomas, the majority of people who are millionaires.
Not millionaires, billionaires.
Fine, I don't care if someone's a billionaire. Awesome.
Yes.
Bezos can be a billionaire. It doesn't bug me at all.
Okay, but it bugs me what he does with the money when he exploits underage girls and then buys e-commerce patents.
Put him in jail. If he's doing something illegal, put him in jail. I don't care.
How are you going to prove that if he's got influence and all the police? Come in, please.
Right. I don't know. I don't know how you do that. But you know what?
Everybody's my mom.
I'm just telling you. I'm going to make this point real quick. That most people who have $1 million net worth are people who work their ass off on some, maybe they had a union job, they had a good retirement program. Some of these people who work for even like the Illinois government, right? They have a great pension plan or whatever. They were responsible. They paid off their house. They stayed in one place. They own their house free and clear. They have over, 30, 40 years of working. Right. They have $3 or $4 million in a Roth IRA that they're living on money. These are, and that's who Joe Biden's, he's going after 401ks. These are the people.
I'm not talking about them, Jack.
They're the people who own stock. These are where they hold their wealth. They're not, it's not in the IRS. It's not in the fucking Social Security program. It's in stocks and bonds and capital.
Okay. So, okay.
So
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not villainizing them. I'm talking about the billionaires and the elites, the 1%.
I don't care about them.
They're not the 1%. See, Doc, let me just tell you this, because I love you, but like, I don't care about them, the millionaires and the people that have the stocks. I'm talking about the people that influence our diplomacy, our international, our foreign diplomacy.
People like Jeff Zuckerberg.
They're the 1%. They're the 1%. They're the 1%. Not these people. These people are like the
but they're
8%.
Thomas.
They're the 8%.
They're on the outs.
I'm talking about the 1%.
They're on the outs. You can't. There's nothing you can do to them. The only thing you can do to them, Thomas,
they literally
is do what's happening, which is create a parallel society and outrace them and make them irrelevant. That's what's happening.
How can you possibly do that in the capitalist game if they have all the patents, all the copyrights, all the they're the gatekeepers. They have all the media. They have all the politicians. They have all the police. They write the laws, and they have all the influence. How do you do that? Just do it by luck? By Jesus?
Because, Thomas, they're just a few people. They are just a few influencing people, and they arrest everybody else. That's what populism is and does. Okay. Because votes still matter. People still vote.
They don't.
They can't vote.
Votes don't matter. Votes don't matter at all.
They do vote. They do matter.
Okay, Doc. Agree to disagree.
They do matter. How do we get Joe Biden? They do fucking matter. Joe Biden.
I think you just made my point. I think you just made my point there. I win. I mean, okay. I feel like we have a fundamental disagreement of who we're actually addressing. Like when I say the 1%, because they're not the 1%. Doc.
I'm with you. Well,
they're rich, and they're richer than most people, but they're not the 1%. Doc. They're not.
Well, if the 1%, you're talking about like the 0.1%.
Yes, I'm talking about the people who are literally the problem. The people are the problem.
Right.
And they got to be that rich because they're the problem, and they love being the problem.
Stupid ass from Twitter.
Get off on it.
Quit.
Who quit Twitter?
What's his face? God dang it, the troll.
I'm having so much fun right now, bro.
I have to get Twitter. Just quit.
I don't know, but you're talking about people that are horrible people, and they're menaces to society. So now I would like us to talk about Hillary Clinton.
Let's move on to this. We always save the best segments for last. So, two of our favorites, Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow, came together. We always look to Hillary's very wise, astute political analysis. In Real Talk, though, this is a very important segment because it shows you the mindset of the Democratic elite blaming voters for not getting on their knees and thanking them enough for all of the supposedly great things that they have done. They are blaming voters for Biden's unpopularity and not taking any responsibility themselves. She's basically a mouthpiece for that mindset, which is very much inside the White House right now. Let's take a listen.
You know, democracy is messy. You know, a lot of people got, I think, kind of frustrated looking at the messy process of legislation. And they didn't really appreciate that within a year, the Biden administration has passed two major pieces of legislation through both the House and the Senate. They've passed another major piece through the House that will soon be in the Senate. By any measure, those are extraordinary accomplishments, and they really will help many millions of Americans with health care and prescription drug prices, as well as climate change and so much else. But because of the way we are getting our information today, and because of the lack of gatekeepers and people who have a historic perspective, who can help us understand what we are seeing, there is a real vulnerability in the electorate to the kind of demagoguery and disinformation that, unfortunately, the other side is really good at exploiting.
The other side is good at exploiting. It's the same old thing. It's a vast right-wing conspiracy. It's all, this is so, every time you blame the voter, oh, they're getting frustrated because they see this and they don't appreciate Biden
all
done
he's
so
done
much
for
to
them.
you peasants, throwing things at them. Here's the thing. What did we just hear from former President Barack Obama? Which is, hey, the other side's worse. You people aren't appreciating enough. 2016, you didn't come out to vote. Whenever I told you to vote, I said my name was on the ballot. Y'all didn't show up. Y'all are getting tired. I mean, every time. Will any of these people take responsibility? Why can't Biden come out and say, look, I know you guys are frustrated. I know it feels like what's happening right now what's happening right now in Washington is disconnected from your life. And here's what I'm going to try and do about it. X, Y, and Z. Just saying I understand why you're frustrated would lift people's spirits and at least make them feel as if the country isn't just completely in chaos. And yet, that's the problem. I mean, and meanwhile, he's hanging out in a Nantucket billionaire's house for Thanksgiving. It's like, I don't know what these people are doing, but this is the mindset, all the very top of the Democratic Party right now.
She is the queen of blame shifting.
Yes.
I mean, this is really, like, the Democrats, this is something they really excel at.
Yeah, they
never having to ever reassess what they're doing. And Hillary Clinton and her husband, I mean, they are the authors of this style of democratic politics that we are still living in. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why she's become so good in a certain way at always having some excuse of why this failure is not our fault. The fact that we've gotten decimated in rural America, that's really not our fault. The fact that we lost in Virginia, a state that Biden just won by 10, but that's really not our fault. The fact that we're going to lose the House and probably the Senate coming up in the next midterm election, that's really not our fault. It's that the voters don't appreciate how great we ultimately are. When, I mean, we just read the third way focus groups. Well, voters don't even know what you're doing other than fighting with each other.
And don't care about the things that they do know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, at some point, don't you have to do a little self-reflection about like, oh, maybe our priorities aren't right. Maybe we're not selling this in the right way. Maybe we took what was an incredibly popular package of things that actually would have benefited people and week after week, like shot the most popular provisions in the head to the point that what's left is, not really going to land with much of anything for voters. Like, infrastructure, that's good. It's important. Of course, what they passed is still wildly insufficient for actually our needs. But in terms of helping people right now today, they've abandoned some of their most popular promises that would have actually impacted. So, it's this whole idea of like, oh, we've tried nothing and it hasn't worked. What else can we do? It's completely absurd. There was another part. I actually listened to this whole interview, by the way. You're welcome,
man.
guys.
I'm so sorry.
And I have to say, so my first instinct is always just like, oh, what do I have to hear from this individual?
Right.
But to your point, I actually think it's really important because she does have her finger on the pulse of a certain type of Democratic elite and their thinking. And she says things out loud that sometimes they're more skilled at sort of couching in different language. One of the things that she said in an endless like back and forth between her and Rachel about disinformation and misinformation, Russia and whatever, is she said that people who support Trump, they don't like the world we're living in. And I just really thought about that. And it connected for me back to after she lost and said, oh, the places that are doing well, they voted for me. As if that was a good thing that you are losing all of the people who feel like they don't like the world that we're living. They feel like they're not doing well, that they're not succeeding. Like those are the people that are supposed to be gravitating towards the Democratic Party. Those are the people you're supposed to have an answer for of how you're going to make the world better. There are lots of good reasons why people may not like the world that we're living in when they see the billionaire class, getting away with everything and getting tremendously rich, and they see year after year their own household budgets stagnant or shrinking, less and less hope for their own children, all of those things. So I also thought that was a sort of profoundly interesting comment and revealing comment that she made there too.
Well,
So, Doc, if only you watched that whole entire interview. I did watch that whole entire interview. And Hillary Clinton never fails. She's always horrible, disgusting, absolutely the worst. She's absolutely the worst. She talks about Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty. That was Breaking Point's their show. Y'all watch it. They're very good.
I've been watching them since they were still part of Rising.
Yeah, me too. And they're very good. She outlined how Hillary says they don't like the world they're living in. She tries to dehumanize 50% of the country, turning us against each other, dividing us.
Oh, she calls us deplorables. I'm a deplorable.
Meanwhile, calling Trump a demagogue. At the same exact speech. Only Hillary Clinton can do that.
There's like code words she uses that just scare the shit out of people if they're listening with half a brain. She said there's not enough gatekeepers of the information that we get. We need gatekeepers, Thomas. You and I, we need gatekeepers of information, so we're not inundated with misinformation.
She said the electorate is vulnerable because we're not seeing. We don't understand what we're seeing. She said we don't understand what we're seeing. We're vulnerable. The electorate's vulnerable. Admiral Groove has made a good point. Why would you be proud of getting the billionaires' votes when you don't want them to exist? He's stumbled upon the whole Democrats' secret. We want to tax the rich. Yeah, bro. Like, isn't it funny, guys, how this party pretends they want to tax the fucking billionaires, bro? When they're donating to them,
they are the party of billionaires.
Like, that's why I hate the Democrats more, bro. Because the Republicans, at least, they're like, no, fuck you, no handouts, right? The Democrats are like, oh yeah, I want to tax the billionaires, except I'm fucking being donated by all the billionaires, and I'm never gonna do that. Oh, good job, though, blacks, gays, Jews, women. It's like, why do you even go through the trouble of bullshitting me, bro? You guys are not going to do a goddamn thing. Why do you even do it? Why do you even stand up and lie to my face? It's like the guy who lies to your face. Why don't you just leave me? Like, just leave me. Why you gotta lie to my face? The Democrat Party is the guy that lies to my face for an hour and then leaves me. Like, I swear to God, bro. Why are they like this? Can't they just leave? I don't know, Doc. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you feel me on this? Like, why are the Democrats so horrible like that? Why do they lie to your face like that?
Yeah,
they feel like they have to.
Who like get on my case because I'm very trolling of Democrats, particularly in the last few years, and it's basically because if there's anything that drives me more like insane, to the point where I kind of lose my own rationality, it's hypocrites and liars, like people who are intellectually dishonest, and like that's sort of the whole point of the Democrat Party at the moment.
Yeah. You're right.
That they represent themselves as one thing, and they're sort of living on this idea of, FDR, who was fucking 70 years ago or whatever. Like, that shit sailed a long time ago. You're not even the party of JFK. If JFK were around right now, he would not be a Democrat. You would have kicked his fucking ass out a long time ago.
Oh, definitely.
He lowered the top tax rate by 25%. So, fuck, you know what I'm saying? He was a Reaganite before Reagan. So, the Democrat Party is not what it once was, but they're living off that idea that they're for, the little people and the working man and the minority. Thomas, I've watched what this party has done to minorities who are my classmates, my friends, and my neighbors. I watched what that party has done to them in this city, in Chicago. Their policies, they use and abuse. They use the public sphere, because most of the people who are part of the Democratic Party have never had a business. They've never run a business. They've never had to take care of people who are making a living through writing their paychecks. They live by taking everyone's money out of the tax base, keeping a lot to themselves, and then dictating who gets what, because they want to be in control of it through the public sphere. And they use, tropes like, anti-business, bad business owner, greedy business people.
But they also get
you're oppressed. You need
academia falls.
You're a victim.
Because the first thing that Nancy Pelosi did with the CARES Act was she funded the National Endowment of the Arts and all of the academias. That's why they're liberal bastions. That's why, probably in your college, your faculty, people, there are a lot of liberals, because the first thing the Democrats do in a crisis is fund the academias.
Right.
Then they fund the banks. Then they fund Wall Street.
I was an academic bank. I have a doctorate.
That's what they do.
From Michigan.
Those are their foundations. Those are literally their foundations. Without those three institutions, academia, Wall Street, and the banks, the Democrats would fall.
And the media.
They would
They
fall
also
flat.
control the media.
You're right. There's four. No wonder they call the fourth estate. They're the fourth pillar of the Democratic Party. I didn't even know that. You realize that. So, we got Groofus saying splitting apart from forming new states.
Some good statements here.
Yeah, there are some good statements, and we're having a really good conversation because I feel like we really know what's at the root of the problem.
I like you said, why would you be proud of getting the billionaires' votes when you don't want them to exist? It's the greatest irony ever.
It is, right? Because they really do want them to exist.
We love your money.
In fact,
and we love when
they want the billionaires to exist. They don't want you to exist.
When you platform our enemies and kick them off of media.
See, if Admiral Groofus, if you just didn't exist, if you died of COVID, they could fundraise off of your death and get reelected. So if you could just die, that would be great. And they could continue to get fundraising.
How are we on Twitch? Do you stream this on Twitch?
Oh, this is restream, so it streams everywhere.
Twitch, I'm streaming to a couple of my. I didn't go to my Twitch page, but I'm going to
do it.
YouTube apparently. I thought Facebook, but I don't see myself on Facebook.
So this seems all like common sense, Doc. Because even though we're different ideologies, we still see the same problems. We see the same problems.
That's why we get along. That's why we talk, Thomas.
I know. Well, we do. I mean, I love you, bro. But but I'm not very popular, bro, and it's because I don't pick a side. They tell me to pick a side all the time. What side are you on? You got to pick a side. If you want to be successful in this business, Thomas, you got to pick a side. I don't want to pick a side because both sides are the same side. And what's driving me crazy, Doc, is that nobody else sees that. How am I supposed to pick a side when both sides are the same side and they're both scum? Why do I have to pick the scum side? Why can't I pick the other side?
Well, there's
the not scum side.
But that side is not on the side of most of us. So you got to give up trying to please them and keep talking to the people that matter. The people who are showing up at these school board meetings, these people who are, the ones unionizing against Bezos. Where's that? Down in
it's getting harder and harder
or whatever.
They're getting replaced, Doc. They're getting replaced. Bezos is replacing him. Kellogg's is replacing their workers, and YouTube is doing strikes.
So what you got to do is not buy or go or work for a corporation. Incorporate your fucking self and do your own thing. The people who make, musicians who make $100,000 a year on Twitch. I made money on Twitch. Not a lot yet, but I had like 12 people. I made $25. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. That's crazy. Imagine if I had like 100 people watching me and they started, subscribing and stuff. So this country.
Well, then they would call that an insurrection. That would be an insurrection, Doc.
It'd be the right kind. It'd be the kind that they wrote into the Declaration and into the Constitution.
Of course it would be. So that would be the exact kind that they would surveil and fucking crack the heads of. Because the Democrats and Republicans are traitors to the country.
They can try. Yeah. I don't think the military would obey them.
You don't think so?
No. Why do you think they're starting to screen?
Don't they take orders?
Why do you think they're starting to screen who's in the military now, and trying to revamp it according to the most progressive ideals in the military?
I didn't know that.
All these social experiments.
Huh. Is it helping?
What
is it doing?
Well, they're trying to weed out, the potential Trump voters in the military, because Trump voters with guns are a bad thing, especially if they're in the military. They did that they had that screening test when the insurrection, so-called insurrection on January 6th happened. Yeah, the one that the old lady waving flags and the Viking hat guy, that insurrection, that big.
I mean, lives were lost. Nancy Pelosi's laptop was lost. That was a life.
Fucking country and the government. That Viking hat guy.
Nancy Pelosi's laptop.
When the troops were coming from the state militias were being sent to Washington, D.C. to supplement, and they were told to screen the troops they were sending for their political views.
Do you think someday, or like 50 years from now, Doc, people are going to reenact AOC's fucking traumatic experience in the insurrection? How she barricaded herself in the fucking. Do you think maybe it's like the Alamo?
Do you know?
There's going to be an AOC. There's going to be some girl in a fucking white sports jacket.
You know who caused it, Thomas?
I'm so fucking scared.
The FBI coordinated that thing.
Bro, I know that. They coordinated it all. They coordinated
the Gretchen Whitmer thing.
They coordinated
the kidnapping.
Kyle Rittenhouse
in Michigan.
FBI. What is a fucking pedophile doing at a black pride? None of it makes any sense, and that's how you know it's FBI. These guys are all over us, bro. They're all instigating everything. Kyle Rittenhouse, everything that's happened the last 2 years has been FBI. I know it. I don't need anybody else to tell me. I know it. It's so weird. It makes no sense, right? What is Kyle Rittenhouse doing at a freaking... Let's talk about that. What do you think about Kyle Rittenhouse? Sorry. Interrupt you.
I probably saw it. My cousin lives in Antioch. It's not a very big city. I think he was a kid trying to do what he thought was right. His dad lives in Kenosha. People think, he went over state lines. Like, Antioch is 20 miles, not even, from Kenosha. And Antioch's a small town. Kenosha is a place where like a kid from Antioch would go to Kenosha to get work, right? Like, it's a bigger suburb, Okay. It's like someone, from Kerrville would come to San Antonio because there's not shit happening in Kerrville. So his dad lives in Kenosha. He works there, and he sees people's fucking businesses getting burned down. The cops aren't doing anything. And he's like, he just went there. He went there to clean up buildings, which they showed him doing. He was cleaning up shit. He was helping people with first aid. And all he said was he armed himself because he knew better than going to a situation like that.
With a what? He armed himself with a what? With a what?
Pardon?
He armed himself with a what? Assault rifle.
With a rifle.
Okay, so it was a rifle. It wasn't an assault rifle where it shot more. I don't know anything about guns, so I'm not trying to be a liberal, protective guy. I'm pretty sure
it was a big ass gun.
Would know, but okay, so okay.
But he didn't fire it until he was fired. I mean, he didn't go there to shoot people.
Yeah, I don't know, Doc.
He's going to be.
But why else would you go?
All I know is he's going to be a very, very, very rich and wealthy young man very soon. And I hope he takes CNN and MSNBC and Joy Reid and fucking.
I understand. You right wingers are celebrating it and stuff, and I'm glad. I don't really care that much. But all I want to know is, what is that pedophile? What was that sexual predator doing at a Black Lives Matter rally? It wasn't answered. Can we figure that out? What was he doing there? 'Cause he didn't like black people. He was saying, "Shoot me, nigga." He was a racist.
Those were
What was he doing about Black Lives Matter? That makes sense. How did he meet
BLM,
that guy?
the organization BLM, Thomas, the organization organized those riots. They flew people around. They had the help of Kamala Harris. They had the help of a few leftist billionaires. All of those rallies, like trucks would show up with all kinds of paraphernalia in there that rioters could just pull out and use: signs, sticks, water bottles that they froze so they could throw at cops and shit.
Drug cops? Okay, so that sounds like instigating. That sounds like
they organized that.
So Arminius the Wise, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Doc, but
the same people
the left likes pedos.
Riots.
Now, Arminius the Wise, I love you. Thank you for being on my show. I'm a leftist. These guys, the Democrats, they're not the left.
I don't think you're a leftist.
I know.
We mean something.
I am a leftist. I'm totally a leftist. I know
exactly
what I know, Doc. We have a lot of disagreements on that, and socialism and stuff like that. But just so you know, I don't like pedos. I'm not a pedo. I don't like that. We should all work for the common good. E pluribus unum. Remember that?
Well, that's my other. I think the one thing I posted about about Rittenhouse. All I said is that there's one less, rapist of young children in the world is a good thing. So, thank you, Kyle.
I agree with you, and I'm the left, so that means I don't like pedos. Arminius. I'm just messing with you because you're a newbie, bro. I like right.
You're talking animus.
I live in Texas. Animus. I live in Texas, bro. So I talk to you guys all the time, and I agree with you y'all most of the time. We both agree about Joe Biden. Both agree about fucking. If they're gonna take our taxes and send them to wars and fucking funnel them to the wealth to 1%, why even pay taxes? So I agree with you guys a lot. But we don't like pedos, and we should stop doing that to divisive shit. We should start focusing on the people who really fuck us up. The Democrats and Republicans, not the left or the right. The Democrats, Republicans. Can you feel me on that, bro?
I don't care about parties. I do.
They're the problem, Doc. They're the problem.
What is that woke? What is that woke crazy wing that believes in all that stuff?
The crazy wing?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Believes in all this shit. Like now we should have separate classrooms for black and white kids, and that
that's segregation, bro. I don't know who believes in that.
That's the left.
Joe Biden? I don't think so. Joe Biden's not the left, though. He's a dementia-riddled old man, bro. Joe Biden.
They're called the left, but what do you call them?
I call him Corn Pop. He likes to be called Corn Pop now. He's got hairy legs.
So tell me, just real quick, let's go through this real quick again.
Yes, please.
So
what we got?
You obviously mean something different by socialism than I do. And your form of socialism is probably close to my form of capitalism, which is small, either individuals or small groups of people vastly owning the means of production. And that everyone kind of plays the role and everyone has a stake in it.
Well, that was kind of like the electoral college, but that was a white supremacist. I like that. Part. Oh, sorry. I like that part, except for we all do it, and no, there's no racism. But Doc, let me just tell you, I love the founding fathers. I love their ideology. I love the Freemasons. Everything sounds great. Why we gotta be racist? You know what I'm saying? Why can't it be everybody? That's all they were missing. All they were missing was everybody.
I think they were the opposite of racists, actually.
I mean, they owned slaves and they had electoral college, and sharecroppers couldn't.
Electoral college isn't racist.
I'm not saying it's. They're the only ones that were allowed to vote because they were the only ones that owned land. That's how it was based on owning land, right?
Right, but they set it up for they understood what they were creating. That's why they basically freed their slaves. They understood the hypocrisy of it.
They basically freed their slaves? Who did that?
Not basically, they did. Thomas Jefferson did.
Thomas Jefferson, he died. His slave dug the grave that he laid in. His slave. His name was Clarence. I believe it was Clarence. He was a planter. Clarence was. Yeah. Thomas, he did free the slaves. That's an old conservative myth. They didn't do that. Abraham Lincoln did. He did the Emancipation Proclamation. The rest of them, they were fine being complete hypocrites. They were. It's real. It is what it is. It is what it is.
They weren't fine with it. They knew it would cause problems.
Well, they died before they could face them. Abraham Lincoln faced them.
They did. You're right. They did. It took about 70, 80 years, and we almost,
and literally,
we almost lost the country over it.
I'm not saying that's like the be all end all. The evil people, though, Doc. Like, it is what it is. My people, they literally assimilated into a white supremacist system, and then they voted for Democrats, the same Democrats that wanted them to be slaves in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're all guilty of some stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? We just got to be free thinking, innovative, and open minded. I'm saying.
Right. So, what does your socialism look like?
My socialism is that we all have a hand in the pot. I prefer to think of it as what do you call it? Mount Olympus. You know how like the gods gathered around and Zeus was the head, and we all ate from ambrosia, and we all had a hand in the pot. We all had a part in Olympus. We all took care and cultivated of a society, and we all had an integral role, and we all had when we have a part in it, that we're involved in it, right?
Who decides
that means we want to upkeep it.
How do you get compensated?
See, that is government right there, Doc. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. You're the only person that will ask me that question, and really.
I think this stuff through.
I know. You're awesome. The rest of people will ask me that question because of another question they want to ask me.
No,
that's the question, Doc. That's the question.
I'm playing chess.
Decide that?
I'm playing chess, Charles. Thomas.
That's the question, Doc. No, that's the question. You just asked the question. Who decides who you do what you do?
In our society, we decide what we get to do.
But we
decide what role we play.
But we're musicians and we're not doing it, though.
You want to start a business that creates the bolts that go on a fucking car? You can do that. You want to be an Uber driver? You can
Admiral
do that.
Griffith says Thomas Jefferson wrote a condemnation of slavery. And also Nancy Pelosi wrote a very stern letter in the Wall Street Journal that she really loves to do stuff for the children. And I don't give a shit, Admiral Griffiths. These are politicians. Fuck what they say in their stupid declarations and fucking media press releases. By the way, Thomas Jefferson, he had a problem with the media too. Thomas Jefferson thought that the media was the enemy of people. And that was before there were the enemy of people.
He coined that term.
Yeah. Thomas Jefferson was a liar and a racist. He was. He lied.
I don't agree with you.
It is what it is, bro. I want you someday. I hope God's real, and I hope we go to heaven and you meet Thomas Jefferson. You're not gonna like him, bro. You are not gonna like that guy, bro. I promise you, are not gonna like him.
I don't have to like him, Thomas.
Promise you, Doc, he's gonna be a fucking bitch.
There's a lot of people I don't like, but when you do something great, there's a lot of great people who weren't. I mean, great influences in the world who weren't great people. Guess what? Martin Luther King was not a good man.
Yeah.
Not at all. He loved his hoes and he loved his freaking orgies and
the
shit.
FBI, they were like, you better fucking kill yourself right now or we're going to tell everybody you're a fucking homeowner. The FBI, bro. Yeah. They always capitalize. They're the only ones ever capitalizing on a good situation, I guess.
I'm not, I don't judge people's, I don't judge like great ideas, influential products, things that change us, I don't judge those things based on the character of the person who either created or said them, because that's the Bible talks about that. It's like, you take the log out of your own eye, then go take the stick out of someone else's. It's like that one. What the fuck have you done lately? Did you write the Declaration of Independence? Did you stand up to the biggest freaking monarchy in the history of the world?
That was big. No one denying. But I will stand by my principles and my values. And so if I said all men were created equal, I would take that to mean that all men were created equal, and I would stand by that.
He believed that.
Yeah. But did he though? Because he didn't really act on it, did he? I don't know, Doc.
He wrestled with the hypocrisy of it. That's all I can say. He didn't win, maybe. Okay. I mean, his commerce and the times he was in overwhelmed him, I'm sure.
I mean, he's a man.
These days,
and men make mistakes.
He did a lot.
I can only hope. I can only hope that when the time comes, when the stakes are so high, to do the right thing, that I can, because that's important. It's important, right? I guess that's a lesson we learn from history. But here's something that we can learn from the future, guys, and that's the Democrats and Republicans are fucking parasites, and they're spawn, and this is what they do to every single fucking planet that they cover. So y'all just remember this when you're voting for Democrats and Republicans.
Now there's much we can learn from each other if we can negotiate a truce. We can find a way to coexist. Can there be a peace between us? No peace. What is it you want us to do?
Infrastructure.
Bulletproof. Sir.
Are you all right? I saw his thoughts. I saw what they're planning to do. Like locusts. They're moving from planet to planet. Their whole civilization. After they've consumed, they'll move on. And we're next. Nuke 'em. Let's nuke the bastards.
Look, buddy, you wear black. Guys, this was Tommy Nation Politics. This was an hour and a half podcast. This is why you need to come on more. Doc Burge is actually an admin of our Facebook page, facebook.com/Tommy Nation Politics. He never.
I do my own streams too.
You do, bro. If I was your teacher right now, I would. You have submitted completes.
You are my teacher. I'm the Padawan.
You know what's funny is that's the cool thing about America is that we're such a melting pot. We learn from each other, so we don't have to call each other pedos or fucking left wing loonies. We don't have to be like Hannity. We don't have to be like Rachel Maddow. We can be us. We don't have to be like these parties, guys. That's my point.
We aren't like these.
We're not. We're really not like them.
You look nice today. You're all dressed up. Why are you all dressed up?
I'm trying to convince people that I'm a serious person and I'm not an insane guy.
You look good, man. That's a.
I'm very anti-establishment. I'm anti-established guy.
I'm in my fucking.
I wear a tie.
Please.
Okay? So that means that I want order, right?
Yeah.
Law and order. Law and order. Law and order, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. I hope Doc Burgess comes on more. He's always here late as hell, bro. I thought I was late. This guy's late. Dude, we have so much in common, Doc.
I work nice, man. What can I tell you?
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. So I have to stream this, so I have to stop this podcast. Guys, make sure you subscribe. Join us for more. Make sure you're free thinking, innovative, totally open-minded. Live streams every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Doc, do you have any last words? Any last words for you, Doc? For the country?
No, I appreciate the people watching. You know, there's a lot more of us than there are of them, so I can tell you.
Yeah, I agree with you. And which party do you think Whitmore was in? Admiral Gruffuss? I think he was in the We the People party.
Yeah.
So, guys, be free thinking, innovative, open-minded. E pluribus unum. Work for the common good, right and left. The eagle that flies, we fly with you. Tommy Nation Politics.